Well, I have my backdrop at least. So today I want to talk about three things that brought me to the point in my career that I am now, and that is gate crashing, opportunism, and playing to your strengths. So let's start with gate crashing. What do I mean by gate crashing? There was an author called Jeff Dyer, and he wrote books about both jazz and military history to a great deal of detail, and he describes his forays into those two quite disparate domains as being a gatecrasher. And I really like that essay. You guys should really watch it. There are two major quotes that really resonate with me. I'll just bring my notebook here. The first quote is, "It is not what you know that's important. What's important is what your passion gives you the potential to discover." That is very important to me specifically because as a kid I was always a big fan of trivia and trying to find just various wacky facts or just unknown facts, just some kind of trivia facts about all different kinds of things. And the moment I thought I knew a little bit about something, I like a butterfly moves on to another flower, I just moved on to the next thing and started finding out stuff about that. And I kept doing that a lot. And in our society, we can't just keep doing that forever, so you have to ply your trade in something. I became an engineer, as we do. I learned engineering, and at the end of engineering school, I said, you know what, I don't want to be a coder, so what do I do? I had an elective subject called a human computer interaction, and I thought maybe this seems like a very interesting thing. After 4 years of learning about how computers work, all the theoretical and practical aspects of that, I thought, you know what, how do humans work? I don't know. Let's find out. And so I jumped ship from this technical domain to human computer interaction, which is a domain mixed full of all different kinds of people, right? From anthropology, sociology, journalism, researchers and technical people, psychology, all of these different things combined in this one beautiful Wild West. To be honest, it's a great place to be. One of the things that I needed to do in my grad school tenure was finding an internship. And that's where I realized the importance of playing to my strengths. What happened was I went into the second semester and there was a summer vacation of summer semester, let's just call it, of 3 months, and I had to find some kind of a internship in that. And what happened was that because I didn't have any relevant experience, I jumped straight from a undergrad school to a grad school. It was very hard for me, and unfortunately I wasn't able to find an internship, and it was really sad. I felt like a dog in a dog shelter that wasn't adopted, just in a corner looking with inviting eyes like, please adopt me, but nobody adopted him because he didn't have relevant work experience. Yeah. Anyway, that happened, and I remember one night specifically where I had $8 in my bank account and I didn't have my assistantship because school was closed for the summer, and I just stared at the white ceilings of my apartment not knowing what to do. Then I decided, you know what, let's just try our luck at something that I do like to do. So I sent a letter to Michael Fisher from PocketNow, then formerly at pocketnow.com. So backstory there, I used to send in emails to pocketnow.com. They had a weekly podcast that they did, or they still do actually, and I used to send them stuff, so they kind of knew me as this regular listener. I decided, you know what, let's just try our luck. Let's see if they'll allow me to write for them. Well, I had blog posts before about mobile technology. I was just a big enthusiast. Again, I loved talking about or thinking about different things. I sent them a sample of my work and they invited me to write for them. So over the summer I just wrote for them because I love just writing. That's how when I realized, you know what, it's not that bad. You should just focus on what you do like doing at some times. And somehow, as luck might have it, it actually helped me find an internship. That's because I emailed with some of the staff at the website, the editorial staff, and asked them, do you know any openings for an internship? I would really appreciate it if you do. And lo and behold, one of them had an opening. They were like, maybe I know somebody. I can set you up. And that's how I got my internship. It was 6 months later than the rest of the people, but I got in. It was something that I really realized that, hey, I should focus on my strengths, not just be a generic cookie cutter guy. What they teach in school, everybody knows that. What do I bring to the table that adds some value to this? And that's how I learned about playing to my strengths. Now, where does opportunism come into all of this? Opportunism is about knowing when an opportunity, keep your ear to the ground, know when an opportunity comes in, and just run as fast as you can towards that opportunity when it's the right time. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't have any relevant experience. That included not having relevant research experience. And in the final semester of my grad school, I made it a mission that I want to be a part of a research project in this school at least once. I want to be a research assistant and not just a graduate assistant, which was just grading assignments and all of these things. So I decided I want to do this. But all the other research teams already had these established researchers, and they were let's call them the gatekeepers, these academicians or these professional people with a lot of work experience from their workplace. So they were all figurative suits and figurative formal clothing, let's say, and then these academicians with, maybe I would describe them as just having a monocle and a little pipe, just saying, what are your research interests? That kind of thing. Just I give them that sort of haughty British accent because that's how I felt about them at that time. What are your research interests? They kept asking me that and I had no answer. And they kept asking me about these technical things and I had no idea what they were talking about, to be quite honest, because I was way out of my depth here. I had never done any research before, but I wanted to do it and I wanted that chance. So my chance came when the new professors had been hired recently. What I'd like to call it is cashing in my money in the bank. So what is money in the bank? In WWE or wrestling, there's a concept of the money in the bank contract. So whoever holds that contract for an entire 365-day period, they have the opportunity to cash in that contract at any point and get a match for the championship, right? The world championship. So at any point, so it's a plot device to add some sort of an uncertainty or anything can happen at any moment kind of thing. But I felt like that was my money in the bank. That was my opportunity to get some research experience. And so when they said these so and so new professors are going to come in, I immediately jumped on that opportunity. I immediately emailed them and I said, hey, I am a student, I'm interested in doing some research, I would love to work with you and all of these things. And one of the professors, Professor Kafaro, shout out to him as well, he said, you know what, let's meet, let's talk about it. And so I talked to him and I just showed him that, I'm just so interested. And I wanted to know what this is all about. I felt like I was on the sidelines and I'm not in the action, in the thick of things. So I did that. And over 6 months, I was a research assistant. I did that. I achieved being a research assistant. And I was really happy about that. And I mentioned before, they had a question about what are your research interests? Well, my answer to that would be, my research interests are research itself. I like going into these domains that I don't know anything about, just crash the gates, go in there, find out about something, do the research, get those insights, and present them in a way that makes sense. That is my research interest. And maybe that's not the academically correct answer, like there's usually a politically correct answer. It doesn't have, I don't use words like operationalize or I care about the embodied interactions in so and so and all of these words. No, I just like the act of doing research. That is my research interest. And again, this whole part about gate crashing comes in. Opportunism, find that opportunity, keep your ear to the ground, and whenever you see it, just jump on it if you can. And grad school is all about that kind of stuff. Now, another aspect of playing to your strengths, also I like to derive from the wrestling world, and this is a brilliant TED talk as well. I'll link to that in the description. That great TED talk is by a former professional wrestler and now a motivational speaker, and he says, when you're trying to create a character for yourself in wrestling, you have to find out what you're about, your desires, your motivations, what makes you tick. And you take that and you turn it up to 11. You just take it to its logical extreme and you create a larger than life. Sometimes it's bombastic, sometimes it's completely out of left field. You create this character, larger than life, a superhuman kind of a person. And sometimes you have to do that in real life. You have to find out what makes you tick and create an identity out of that, or make it a part of your identity. It doesn't have, one thing doesn't have to define you in any way, but that is whatever people call personal branding. That seems a very surface level thing. The brand has to be something that you have within yourself, and you bring it out and you turn it up to 11, maybe not 11, maybe 7 or 8, enough for people to know that you're passionate about it. And that's how you create it. That's how you play to your strengths. There's always the question in the industry, what do you bring to the table? What are you about? Everybody knows the techniques. Everybody knows about the knowledge or technical expertise that you need. Everybody's read The Psychology of Everyday Things by Don Norman, in my case. Don't just rattle those things out. Oh, I have a passion for design. I just want to work with different teams to create something synergistic. All of those things. Yeah, obviously, if you want to work with all different kinds of people, no shit, to be quite honest, pardon my French. What do you bring? Who are you? So the last thing I want to talk about is perseverance. I needed to train myself to be that kind of person. As I said before, I was like a butterfly flitting from one flower to another, and it's important to me. I need to find new gates to crash every time and new gatekeepers to disappoint, but at some level you have to keep at it in order to succeed. I remember when I was searching for jobs, it took me 6 months every day, waking up in the morning, 6 a.m. The first thing you read is a rejection email, and you have to push that aside. You have to keep doing it over and over again until you find the opportunity, and then you capitalize on that opportunity by being yourself. It's very important, and I feel like the job search was one of the most defining moments of my life. It was something that really gave me the self-belief. So I'd like to conclude with another quote from that article, and that is by Susan Sontag. The idea of a writer was someone interested in everything. And why, in all modesty, would anyone be interested in settling for less?